Rolla here with Garden State Film Festival. This year, from March 21st through March 24th, it is the 22nd annual Garden State Film Festival in Asbury Park, New Jersey, and Cranford, New Jersey. If you come this year, you can check out over 200 films coming from 14 different countries, all different types of topics, all different types of films, and you can check them all out in 4 venues. It's amazing. And one of the films you can check out, actually, two of the films you can check out. It's a really special interview. I'm here with filmmaker Josias Ortiz and his father, Ray, who is a star in one of his films. He has, yes, 2 films this year, Lafayette and Noble and Tellurium versus Gold. Josias and Ray, hello. And how are you both doing?
Hello, we're doing good. How are you?
How you
I'm
doing?
doing
Thank you for
well.
asking. We're doing great.
Yes, I'm so excited. I get to talk to you guys today. Thank you for taking the time out to talk to me, and thanks for making these films.
Of course, of course.
So let's get into it. First, let's just have you guys kind of introduce yourselves for me and your audience.
Okay, well, my name is Josias Ortiz. I am the filmmaker for both films, Lafayette and Noble and Tellurium versus Gold. I basically did almost everything for each film. And this is my father here, Ray Ortiz. He's like one of the main stars for Lafayette and Noble. The documentary is centered around like that side of the family, like my father's side of the family. So yeah,
Yes.
two different films, very different films, documentary and narrative film.
You are right. Yeah, a short documentary and a narrative film, but specifically an animated narrative,
Yes.
right? So we consider this, and I don't know. We'll talk about how you made it, but let's. This is going to be interesting. First, let's first tell me about both films.
Okay. Well, Lafayette and Noble was a documentary that came to mind, let's see, like 5 years ago or so. It was like me and my father were attending the New York Film Academy, and we were just talking about brainstorming ideas, and the idea of making a documentary based off of his side of the family came to mind, and it just stood with me for like a bunch of years. Then I joined the digital film program at East Brunswick Magnet School, instructor Louis Libetz. So I kudos
Yeah,
to Mr.
awesome
Libetz out
man.
there. So I presented the concept and everything like that. Everybody seemed to enjoy. Everybody really was like, you should go with this concept. So that was like my first freshman year official film.
Oh, wow.
So it was definitely a great experience to work on this film. And then Tellurium versus Gold was actually a science project there was just like a side thing that I was doing. And I asked my teacher if I could make a film. And so I made that film, and instructor Louis Libet saw it and he was like, this needs to be somewhere. So I want to
Wow.
thank him again for that. I really appreciate it.
Such an artist, so creative, and obviously constantly working and dreaming up new visions. So really awesome. Congratulations on that.
Thank you.
So first let's focus on Lafayette and Noble. And Ray, let me just start off by asking you, how did you feel when your son said, "Hey, I want to make a film about you and your story and your family"?
Well, again, it started at orientation for the New York Film Academy. He was about 10, so it's about 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
It was in New York City. I'm from the Bronx, if you can't tell already, right? So it was just interesting driving into the city with my son, and we just started having conversation about that. It was pretty cool. And when he was able to, actually start filming it, I decided I didn't want to look at any edits until it was done. I seen it on the big screen with everybody. So it was it was touching, to be honest, right? Just to see the memories, because you forget. So
Yeah.
he was able to put up the memories, the conversations he had with my parents and my siblings. Again, I was not there. I tried to make sure that I didn't interfere with anything that he wanted. So it was extremely touching. It was nostalgic, of course, and I was extremely proud just to see just the format of the film and exactly what he was trying to tell in the story come to life. And it was pretty good. And I don't say that just because it was my son and I was in it, but
No, I agree with that statement. And even the way you just the look of the film too, the way the editing is and the camera and obviously the story and you guys, all of your energy, it's captivating. It's really special. And you're speaking about how it is, you kind of start, all these memories start coming up, right, as you're talking, that maybe you forgot. What was it like for you, Josiah? It's like hearing your father's stories and his siblings and these stories from the family. Were these the first time you ever heard them? Like, what was it like for you interviewing them and filming it?
It was, there were certain things that I had known already, like I've heard certain stories before, but a lot of them, like that I had asked, I didn't know yet. So it was very interesting to learn like where we came from, and to see where we are now, and what we're doing, and how everything like started, you know what I'm saying, and like all that, just to hear them talk to me about it, because after a while they began to forget that they're being interviewed, and they were just like, it's almost as if they were just talking with their nephew or their grandson, and they were just conversing with me, and they were
Yeah.
just telling me everything that was going on, and the hardships that they had to deal with, and how eventually life just got better for them. And that's the main reason I actually titled it Lafayette and Noble, is because once they move there, that's when life becomes much better.
Is this something like, does the story come together in the editing process after you hear all these interviews? That's when the title comes, that's when the timeline comes, or did you know exactly what this film was going to look like before you even started filming?
I actually didn't know what the film was going to look like, to be honest with you. Like, before I edited everything, I actually had looked at all of the interviews beforehand. I edited everything before I edited everything. And then I was trying to, like, I asked everybody like similar questions. That way we had like the same, at the same time, talking about the same thing.
Right.
So I just wanted to get everybody's perspectives on that. So it was easy to know when to cut the sequences together. But I actually didn't know what the film was going to look. It was actually a lot longer than like the 10-minute version that we see now is actually a lot longer. So it was cool to like basically just get like the like the meat of the story. You know what I mean? Like, it was just like what was important, what was significant in my father's family side of their life.
Right. Ray, was there any hesitation on your part when he was like, "Oh, I want to ask you all these personal questions"?
Not me, actually. I'm a pretty open book. So I was okay with it. It was more my parents.
Yeah.
Right. They were holding back, and it took some time for them to open up and just relax and be themselves and forget the camera was there. It's not easy being in front of the camera, especially with the lights and everything on, and everything is focused on you. So it was just getting them comfortable and wanting to open up, because they're old school, so they want to keep that tucked away, and they say he doesn't need to know anything like that. So after a while, he got to them, and they were able to tell some stories. Even I heard some things that I didn't know neither, to be honest with you. So it was surprising for me to see them open up that way, because I know how they are. So, but for me, I was wanting to tell everything.
And I mean, what goes into directing a documentary, specifically directing Lafayette and Noble? What are some things you had to do? What was crucial as a director to make people comfortable, to get them to kind of open up and be vulnerable and share these stories?
What I did was I tried to make sure, like, first when I had wrote the questions, I knew that this was gonna like hit them hard emotionally, like certain questions. So I was already prepared with the hesitation. So I knew that. So I had a feeling that possibly they would like maybe not answer it as quickly as I wanted them to, or as thorough as I wanted them to. So I made sure that before they answered any question, that they restated the question, because I didn't want me asking the question to be there, like for you to hear me asking the question. I knew I didn't want that, so I always made sure that they restated the question somewhat to make it sound natural too. So that way you're not saying that way you're not literally restating the question. So that was one of the first things I did, and then with them opening up, I actually had taken 2 takes of most of everybody's interviews. It was my uncle's interview, and my grandparents' interview. I did 2 takes of that, because the first take, they were very stiff.
Yeah.
Then we had this like really long, in-depth conversation of how we should let the world know where we came from and the hardships, and that not everything was how it is now. how, like, with me and with my filmmaking journey, like, we never were, we weren't here forever, what I'm saying? So that's what I wanted to, I had to explain that to them. And so me and my father, like, we had this in-depth conversation, and then after a while I filmed my grandmother's interview first, and she started, she was a little nervous at first, but then eventually she just began to just, like, she was looking at me and just, like, talking to me. You know what I'm saying? So I was just having a conversation with her, obviously monitoring the cameras and the sound here and there, but I was really just, like, having that conversation with her. And then came my grandfather, same thing. After a while, he obviously, there's a couple parts where he didn't really want to tell me what was happening, so I had to ask him, could you elaborate? And so he knew, like, I have to say this eventually. So it was cool for them to just, like, open up and release the, like, to release, like, the pain, so that we don't have to, like, hold it in anymore, like, just hold it in anymore, and, like, deal with it themselves. They, like, it's out now.
And just piggybacking off of that, Ray being in it, and even Josias, you making this film and watching it, do you feel like any different after telling these stories and after watching this film? Do you find your family being any different? Like, is this, how's this film, what does it mean to you guys?
It definitely brought us together. We're a tight-knit family to begin with, but again, just the memories, the old pictures, the stories, because again, the film is, I think, how long was each interview?
Each interview was around 1 to 2 hours. Each interview was, like, really long.
There's a ton of footage, and again, a ton of questions. So just to go down that memory lane and realize, and again, we touched base on the clothing line, which I had with my younger brother, which my parents financed it. So it was a family business. And that brought us back memories, and just, going down that road, there were good memories, and just realizing where we came from. I actually went to my high school. We also went during shooting some films. We took some pictures, and memory lane going down there. My parents put us in private school. So just, being able to show my son and take him, around the neighborhood where I grew up, where I went to school, where I went to elementary school. Again, it's just the memories. So it did bring a smile to our faces, just so we can, realize again where we came from and where we're at now. And especially, as a father watching my son, I also seen the look in my parents watching their grandson. So, we're here in the suburbs in New Jersey. I have grass in my front yard and my backyard. Not in the Bronx. We had concrete. So, it's different. So just to see that, and again, you realize, where you come from, and, the trials and tribulations, but it does mean something, especially if you have good parents and a good support team. My parents were there for us all the time and making sure that we went the right direction. So, it was good.
Absolutely. And I know that, like, people watching, even me watching it, even though you're hearing another family story, it really, it's just as, I don't know if it's just as meaningful, but it is meaningful. And I hope audiences also makes them appreciate what their family has done for them and their ancestors and generations. So I love it that. And I know we talked so long about this because it's just so important, but I want to talk about Tellurium versus Gold as well. We have like 3 more minutes. How did you make this film? What went into it?
It was a science project. It was called the Element Project. I had to basically pick an element out of a hat, and I just chose, like, Tellurium, and I was like, what is this? So I had to research the element, and I had asked her if I could make a film. So in this film, I have to basically explain what Tellurium is and what it can do in film format, like as if he was a superhero, you know what I'm saying? So, like, his powers, it's like what Tellurium is able to do, I made it his power. So it's explained in the film via storytelling. So it was a 3-day process. I wrote the script, I did the voiceovers at the first day, and then 2 days literally I didn't sleep for 48 hours. I was up from 9 a.m. like up until the next day where I had to go to school. Like I was literally finishing up, and I was like, oh no, like I gotta get ready to go to school now, because I was like, oh, my bus, I gotta go get my bus stop. I gotta go to my bus stop now. So it's like I was still editing the film before I had to hop on the bus, and then I had finished it at school really quick. I had just finished the finishing touches with
Yeah.
the captions and all, and then that was that was it. But it was a
I hope you got an
very
A
long
plus
process.
on this.
Very long process. 1,500 pictures out of
Okay, that's what I was gonna. So is it stop motion? Like what is the?
Yes.
It's all pictures, and then you.
So it was a stop motion animation. I did 15
Wow.
frames per second. So I had to move them for 15 frames. That 15 frames equals 1 second. That's the frame rate I went at.
Have you ever done that before?
Yeah, I've practiced stop motion for almost 6 years now. So
Wow.
I've got a grasp on it, and it's very grueling and time consuming process.
Yeah.
And it's great to see the final product, but it's not that fun to remember how you were doing.
Tedious.
Yes.
Right? Taking 3 days for the 2 minutes that we see, but it's awesome. And is there an extra element to it too? Is that CGI? Like there was something going on top of the.
It was a couple of computer generated animations that I had added onto it, so that way it just gave it a cooler aesthetic and a much nicer and somewhat more of a professional look to it. Because I also wanted to make it a little bit cartoonish, because I did do it with Legos, so I didn't want it to be like so serious,
Right. It's really cool watching it. I did not expect it to be it was all started because of a science project. It just looked like something really cool and fun and also like knowledgeable. You'll learn something out of it. Really impressive. Last question for you. Well, 2 more questions. We're running out of time. Why do you think it's so important for young artists like yourself to share stories and to continue to make art, film, and storytelling?
One, to make sure we have a voice. We a lot of us have goals and aspirations that we really want to accomplish, and some of us might not have the support group or what have you, but we have to showcase what our talents are and what our abilities are to the world. I feel like if we do that, each of us could end up working together. That's why I'm so excited about the Garden State Film Festivals, because a lot of the people that I go to school with are here. I can meet new people. It's always great to have people come together, because it's all collaborative. It all becomes, we can end up collaborating in the future. Yeah. I feel like we should all have that voice, so that way other people could see us, and possibly we could have the first ever 15-year-old director directing one of the best films that comes out. So I definitely want to see that happen in the future.
I'm not asking anything else. We are stopping it right there. That is lovely. You also answered, I was going to ask you how you felt having this at Garden State Film Festival. That answers enough of it. That is beautiful. I think you might be the 3rd filmmaker from the same high school under Lewis's direction and mentorship that I've interviewed. And I'm impressed with all of you. I'm really excited for audiences to see Lafayette and Noble and Tellurium vs. Gold this year. Let me tell you how you can watch it at Garden State Film Festival. It will be screening Sunday, March 24th. The film block starts at 9:15 at Berkeley Hotel. You can meet Josias, Ray. Well, are you going to make it as well?
I'll be there.
Amazing. Come meet these amazing people. Come check it out. Get your tickets at gsff.org/tickets. Thank you both again for taking the time out, sharing your story, and it's been a pleasure talking to you.
It's been great talking to you too. Thank you very much for having us.
My pleasure. I'll see you guys at the festival.
Bye.
Bye.